Hey guys, welcome to week 3 of the most exciting new channel on the tube, Dailyswcollecting, or Daily Star Wars Collecting, as we've all come to know and love over the past 3 weeks. I'm really excited for this week's topic. It's going to be about packaging. So, we're going to take a look at some of the packaging which I've got, some of the packaging which I've seen, and answer the questions which have been posted to us. I got them up on my screen right now. So we're going to start off. And does packaging matter to me, or does packaging matter? Full stop. You know, yes and no. I personally buy my figures based on whether or not I want the figure, not too badly, but how it's packaged. But sometimes, you know, the consumer in me takes over, and you see the packaging, and it's appealing to the eye, the aesthetics of the packaging is nice, and you think, should I take this figure out of the packaging, you know? And then they throw in those little gimmicks, you know, always something to get you to keep it in the packaging, and this is going to be rare, and this is going to be an exciting figure, and we won't put this amount of figures in this case, we'll just instead throw it with Yavin Ceremony Han Solos, and we'll fill this case up with a few R2D2s, and we'll fill this case up with a few other, you know, repacks, and they short pack certain figures and things like this, and it's all marketing, it's all to make people think that the value of the figure is worth more than it actually is, when in actual fact, you know, it's whether or not at the end of the day it's if you're going to buy the figure or not, and that's what matters the most, you see. So we'll start with the oldest first. Hopefully this is the oldest sort of one I've got. I don't have any Power of the Force figures on the card, but we do know the card. These were the ones I was a kid. I don't have any vintage, original vintage carded figures, so quite hard to come by and expensive, and I like articulation. Just, you know, the age and stage I was brought up in, basically. So this one I actually bought recently, not when it came out. I got it for cheaper than probably what it retailed for when it did come out, so it didn't increase in value, but I keep it carded. Luke Skywalker, Hoth Attack. It's just that I'm a fan of Hoth. I'm a fan of Luke Skywalker, and he looks quite cool on the card. You notice the big bubble. I'm not a fan of these card backs. When I first saw them pop up, I was like, are these fake? Didn't quite know what to make of the card back. But, you know, not a great figure, but looks nice in the bubble. So, at the end of the day, I bought it cheap on auction. Nice figure. Also from 2002, it was the silver 25th anniversary of Star Wars. They had these figures. Oh, this was the Attack of the Clones card, and this was the silver anniversary card in 2002. Also before that you had the Power of the Jedi line, and the Episode 1 line, as far as I can remember. I did have figures from both of those, but none of them were carded, because obviously I was a bit younger, and I do like to open my figures still, just pick and choose which ones, funny like that. Which brings me to the second question: do you open your figures or preserve them? Well, you know, I preserve some, open others. The next one would probably be in 2007. Darth Vader. That was the 30th anniversary collection, and they had the coin, which we saw this back in the original Power of the Force line. So yeah, no, and then they had this big album, and they're like, this is just a challenge to collectors. You know, this is brilliant marketing on Hasbro. Look at this. Fill up every gap. Go on, do it. You know, spend all that money, and some of these are rare, some of these are Darth Revan. He's hard to get because we only put out, you know, X amount. So it brings you back to the gimmick, you know. But at the end of the day, I think value is what you make it yourself. So, you know, Captain Typho, he may not be a uber rare figure, but you know, Jay Lagai, he's a Kiwi. He's on home and away in Australia at the moment. But you know, if he comes over here, I hope to get him to sign us, and then it'll have more sort of value to me. I don't, you know, I don't mind if it's not worth anything, but it's valuable to me, and I think, you know, that's the point of collecting. It may not be worth anything at the end of the day, but it's got to be valuable to yourself. Then we come on to that Legacy collection, which was probably my favourite card, was the Stormtrooper with the clone helmet and the blue writing, and then they moved on to this one, and that was the I think the Legacy collection was the black line, and then the orange one was the Saga Legends, I think. But these were cool, and always I have Boba Fett, you know, different sorts of Boba Fett on the card. He's from 2010, he was from 2009. I got this one from 2011, the vintage collection one, and this one from 2009 as well, but you know, still just Boba Fett. I like Boba Fett. Also 2010 you got vintage card figures. Now I got one of those silver ones, and like Josh pointed out, it's just a figure I can't open. And that I just keep him counted because I like, and I know he's rare now, so that was a good one. So I open some, don't open others, just whatever appeals to me, whatever I think is going to be worth money. Like I got the Revenge of the Jedi Admiral Akbar and the Revenge of the Jedi Luke Skywalker, and I opened them, you know. They're not going to double make their money off me, because both of that actually the same cost in New Zealand. It costs the same to get one of the old Saga Legends figures as it does to get a vintage figure. They're both $20 in stores, so just buy them wherever. And some places have sales, and you just go wherever's got the good sale on at the time and best deals, just go out and buy them wherever they are. So, you know, at the end of the day, I'm not going to buy a Revenge of the Jedi card because they changed one word and add a little bit of extra blurb on the back. Or I saw one foil card, and it's of Han Solo, like one of my favourite characters ever, apart from Lando and Boba Fett. So, you know, I kept them on the card. Nice foil, it's nice. I'm not going to sell it, but it means something to me at the end of the day. Do I ever think modern figures will be as valuable as vintage figures? Value is what you make it. So these figures are worth something, and they'll be vintage one day, but then these figures might be worth what the vintage figures are now, and the vintage figures might be worth triple of what they are when these are that age. So you just don't, you can never tell with collecting. It's funny. Value is what people make it, and what you make it, and what price you're willing to pay for what you want. Packaging dioramas is pretty cool. I think packaging dioramas are yeah, very, very good. You know, I've got a few, and they look pretty cool when you put buy. But again, it's marketing. Buy all 6 and you can make the big diorama. It's like, okay, I've got all 6, and you know, you can put the diorama together, and it looks alright, but you know, they're sucky, aren't they? And probably the style of packaging I like the best is the vintage collection. by far. We've also got later in 2009 they had 2011 end of the year they had this big bubble, which personally I think they should have started the year with instead of this style, but they've taken attention more away from the card itself and things like that, because I think they know it's not quite spectacular. So yeah, that's just a few of my thoughts. Sorry for taking up so long of your time, and thanks for watching, and remember to check out my channel and subscribe and like this channel, my channel. Check them out. Cool. The force will be with you always.